Hello, everybody, and let's do an off-season episode talking some off-season stuff. College football kind of just finished up for the day here on the East Coast, so I figured, you know what, we'll do some off-season talk. And by the title of this, we're going to be addressing the Yankees giving Trent Grisham the qualifying offer. So let's start with that. We all knew that this was a possibility that Trent would get the QO from the Yankees. I don't condone it. I think this is a very poor choice from the Yankees to give Grisham the qualifying offer. I understand why they did it, because if he declines it, he gets a draft pick. The Yankees get a draft pick. And I'll talk about why I believe they offered it, even though I don't agree with it. The reason I think they offered it is there are two. Number one, the center field market for free agency is not robust at all this offseason. And they know that if Trent Grisham declines the qualifying offer and hits free agency, he will likely get a multi-year deal. Now, it won't be the 22 million AAV. It'll be, a multi-year deal. It might be, 30 over 3, which equates to less. But with the potential work stoppage coming, what's going to be more appealing to Grisham? Wanting to hit free agency right after a work stoppage where you don't know if you're going to have the same season you did this. If he has a horrible 2025 and they end up 2026 and they end up having to like DFA him or bench him or something, then that's going to be an issue. So he might want to capitalize on this, and he might want to have guaranteed money coming in during a work stoppage. Because let's say it's not the full season. Let's say the work stoppage ends in June and they're going to have spring training starting June 2nd. They get the contract, they get everything done on June 1st. Spring training, quote unquote, begins on June 2nd, and games start, July 4th or whatever it may be. Trent Grisham, if he's a free agent, because free agency stalled for all that time, then can't sign with a team till June 1st, and that might be unappealing. So the Yankees are probably thinking he's not going to take the qualifying offer. They'll get a fourth round draft pick. I'm not sitting here reporting that he's not. He can. I don't know, but I'm saying what I think the Yankees were thinking, giving him the qualifying offer. From a business standpoint, smart move. If he takes it, you're fucked. Simple. If he takes the qualifying offer, they're handcuffed next year, because this is what we have right now as their preliminary spring training lineup. He would slot into center field. Left field's Jason Dominguez. So does that mean they're not going to go after Bellinger, who they're very much so going to be very aggressive in getting Bellinger back? And there is, on both sides, they both want to this reunion to continue. Where there's smoke, there's fire. They both really, really liked what was there, and Bellinger was a fine player. Is he the superstar level of Kyle Tucker? No, he's not. But his versatility for the Yankees, he could play everywhere. The way he was at Yankee Stadium last year, that's something that, you want. Bellinger didn't have the postseason you want to have, but besides Judge, who really did, but really besides Judge and Schlittler, everyone had a shit postseason. My one concern with bringing Bellinger back is I don't want this team to be like, we're just going to run it back and see what happens. They need to then make other additions. They need to shake something up on the infield, right? They need to bring someone in. So Jason Dominguez, ignore the hallway. Jason Dominguez is the other factor in this. If for some reason, so let's say Grisham takes the qualifying offer, they're going to have to play him, but they want to re-sign Bellinger because, they need him. Jason Dominguez is then once again your fourth outfielder. And that's not fair to do to this kid. We were promised that this kid was going to be great. We've seen flashes of brilliance, but he really he didn't have a horrible year at all. but like by any means, he didn't have a bad year. He had a good year, I thought, a solid year. Not, great, but solid for a rookie. And, I don't know if he is playing Winter Bowl or not. He was supposed to. I don't know what happened there. So I'm sure we'll hear from Boone on that one in the coming weeks. He'll probably talk to John Boy. He spoke to them this week, so probably another month or actually we'll probably hear this week. Cashman's supposed to speak Wednesday at the GM meetings in Las Vegas. All the AL general managers will speak on Wednesday. We will do an episode on Wednesday night. We should be doing an episode Wednesday night. Let's see um how awake I am after this week. Yeah, we should be able to. Wednesday's gonna be a long day for me, so we'll see. I'm gonna be up at the 5 o'clock. Um, spring training schedule came out the other day. Here's what we're looking at. They start on the road, then they come home for 2, then they're on the road. So they play Toronto on Tuesday, the 24th. That's the first time they play the Jays. Then they'll play the Jays again that week. Um, not too much. The week of oh, they're actually okay. So I might try and get down there, but I might go to I'll see what I want to do. I'm still trying to work out some other details with my job in terms of covering games and stuff for this season and trying to figure all that out. So I might have to go down when they're on the east coast of Florida, maybe to catch the Nationals and the Mets. Because if I'm doing Mets spring training as well, that's all remains to be seen. But spring training is coming, and then the highlight of spring training is the 22nd of March. They will leave George M. Steinbrenner Field, and they will head to Arizona, and they'll play the Chicago Cubs in 2 back-to-back games, and then Wednesday night they will suit up and play. Wednesday night, what's that? The 25th is opening day for the Yankees out in San Francisco in the Bay. I don't think I can be there, but I'll be here and we'll do, what we normally do. I should be at the home opener. Um and I'm excited for that. I mean, it's November 8th, so we got some time, but it is coming up. I mean, it's excited to get the press release this week of the spring training schedule and be like, oh my god, it's like here, and then like on the MLB press site we have now like the spring training graphics, and it's like, oh my god, like this is like kind of getting real. Obviously the WBC is in there, so if you see Pan on the 3rd of March, that is Panama for the World Baseball Classic. They will play the Yankees at GMS. Every team is playing a WBC national team, and I don't remember what date the WBC starts, but Aaron Judge will be the captain of Team USA. I don't know who else from the team is participating. I think Austin Wells is participating in the in Puerto Rico, or Puerto Rico, I think. Don't quote me on that. Actually, Yankee bench coach Brad Osmus will be managing for Team Israel. That's kind of cool. And speaking of Yankee coaches, they have not hired a first base coach, and a report came out a couple of hours ago. I'm going to check the validity on it tomorrow, that the Minnesota Twins are actually still talking to Yankee hitting coach James Rowson, who is under contract, by the way, about their potential role as a bench coach. And I found that interesting, because why would he want to go there? Another thing of interest, I don't know if we spoke about it on here. Pete Fairbanks was completely just hit free agency. The Rays didn't want to pick up their option. So in terms of relievers, he is another option. I don't have his stuff on here. I'm going to be updating this during the week so everything looks the same. I've been using now the from the app Reel because it kind of gives everything that I want to showcase on here. So shout out to them. They're fantastic. That's by far the best app in terms of like everything. They're great. Tim Hill, his option was picked up, kind of an absolute no-brainer. Like I had that article written before the Yankees were eliminated and obviously polished it off, in the offseason, but the bones of it were there. And then as soon as, it got confirmed, boom, out. Same with Loizaga, also not a surprise and also expected. I spoke about this a little bit the other day. This one hurts. This one hurts a lot because I said to someone, I remember when Loizaga first came up in 2018. Right? Yeah, he came up in 18. He actually came up as a starter. And then they transitioned him to the bullpen, and there was so much promise with him. And he was so I if he had stayed healthy, he probably would have been a top 10 reliever in baseball. He probably would have been the Yankee closer by this point. He was that good and that dominant and that important in that weird 2021 season, which was kind of like the 2025 season if you think about it. I mean, 21 was fucking wacky. Yeah, that one hurts. Loizaga couldn't stay healthy, and they need to move on. But I wish Jonathan Loizaga nothing but the best. And it's kind of that bittersweet, kind of like with Torres, where, saw him come up, saw him blossom, saw some great, saw some awful. Bittersweet, I think, is the best way to describe this. And Torres as well, who did receive a qualifying offer from the Tigers, which I think is ironic. I could see him taking it. Like he had an okay year, not great. He started off very good and then like as the season went on. So Loizaga is a free agent. I can see some team picking him up as like a minor league option. I don't know. I don't think the Yankees would pick him up again. Maybe they do like a contract restructure and be like 1 year, 1 million or something just to keep him. I don't even think that's worth it at this point. And it pains me to say that because of how much he's meant to this organization. But I think it's time that you completely just cut ties, which is sad. But the Yankees have their work to do this offseason. They do. They aren't far. I was constructing like a doc the other day of like depth and stuff. They aren't far. This is what the bullpen looks like. Notice I don't have Mark later. I believe the Yankees are going to non-tender him. There are some other guys. I obviously don't have any of like the guys from AAA because we don't know if they're going to be up here or they're going to like right now. Jake Bird, Brent Hendrick, and uh, the other guy. I always get him confused with Andreas Gomez. So I apologize. Obviously, Yogo's no longer a Yankee. I always get this guy confused with him because they're both their name. Oh, Yeri De Los Santos. I didn't even have to look it up this time. Both their names start with a Y, so I get them confused. So Yeri De Los Santos, who I think Brent Hendrick and Yeri De Los Santos are great, and I wouldn't be opposed to extended looks, but I also wouldn't be opposed to them just being in AAA. And the Yankees just having them in AAA, like as depth, and having a bunch of stud relievers. Now, a report came out that the Yankees are going to take a look at, and I'll pull this stuff up on the screen in just a second here. Edwin Diaz. I saw two, Edwin Diaz and Robert Suarez. So I'll pull them both up. And while I'm doing this, I'll talk about this. I've been kind of writing about every like major free agent that's set to hit the market. And today I got the pleasure of doing Pete Alonso. And someone made like a connection. I think it was Heyman. So, take it for what it's worth with that one. Someone made the connection a couple of weeks ago between the Yankees and Alonso. Now, I checked up on it. I was told pretty much like absolutely not. So, we'll see. But it was very quickly to me shot down. I was writing about him today. I wrote a more specific Yankee outlook with him a couple of weeks ago, but today I wrote about him as a player. I'm good. I'm good. The Yankees have so many DHs already. Now the Yankees do need to desperately find a right-handed bat. That's why I want. Oh, it's kind of why I want another starting pitcher, and I want you know Kazaku Okamoto. I'll pull his stuff up right now. Um, I think it's Kazaku Okamoto. Uh, Kazuma Okamoto. I like Okamoto a lot. I think he fits exactly what the Yankees need. And before I get 1,000 people in the comments saying, "Oh, he's a Dodger," let me tell you right now, the Dodgers do not have spots for every single Japanese player. So the only one maybe is the pitcher. And even that's a stretch because they have so much pitching help coming back. Like Gavin Stone, River Ryan, other guys that like haven't pitched in 2 years because they've been hurt. I think Gavin Stone pitched for a bit last year. By last year, I mean in 24, I think, but not much. Like the Dodgers just simply do not have the pitching. You have to remember with all this crazy of like, oh, they're just gonna sign this person. There are only 26 roster spots per team. So before everyone goes nuts, yes, have they dominated that market? Absolutely. Has it been annoying? Very much so. But the Dodgers, like every other team, have 26 roster spots. They don't have enough. They have it for so it's been this week. It's been Murakami, who the Yankees are not involved in at all whatsoever. So whatever reports are coming out from the New York Post or MLB.com, the Yankees are not involved from who I've spoken to and what I've heard. They're not like at all involved with Murakami right now because they don't need him. Murakami profiles as a first baseman, and they have Ben Rice. He strikes out a ton. And yes, he has immense power. That'd be awesome in Yankee Stadium. It'd be very cool. But the Yankees do only play so many games at Yankee Stadium, and they need people to hit on the road. Bellinger hit a little. Bellinger was fine. I can't complain about Bellinger. But what I will say, they can't just have a million people who could be a DH in a year on this roster because Stanton's done after next year. What I think after 27, the Stanton contract's up. And that's that. Then that means the DH spot becomes fluid. That's going to be, Judge, you know, Dominguez, maybe Rice, whoever's still here. I don't know who's still going to be here. But that's even why, like, the Kyle Schwarber rumors are completely, like, I don't know who started them, I don't know who needs to hear this. They aren't going to sign Kyle Schwarber. They never, I mean, there's not a spot for them to play him because he's a DH. So there's not a place for him here on the roster. Like, once again, it works for the Yankees as well. There's only 27 roster spots. And unfortunately, there isn't one for Schwarber, though I would love a Kyle Schwarber. Let's get into let's get into Edwin Diaz. So Edwin Diaz has been spoken about a little bit. Pat Ragasso of Sports Illustrated published a column, I believe today, linking the interest. They're definitely interested. I don't know how much they're interested, but this shouldn't surprise anyone. You know what? It would actually be criminal for the Yankees to not be interested in this because he's one of the best relievers in the game. He is simply fantastic. And it wouldn't make sense for the Yankees to not be involved with Edwin Diaz this offseason. 6-3 with a 1.63 ERA, 98 strikeouts, a whip under 1, a batting average, low batting average, strikes out a lot of guys. The strikeout to inning ratio is spectacular. Keeps it to about 16 pitches per inning. So that's PIP, pitches, innings pitched, which is a statistic I love. Edwin Diaz would be a fantastic option. What that would do is pretty much bump everyone back. He would be closer, then Bednar in the 8th, Duvall in the 7th. It would pretty much bump everybody back a spot, which would be, great. That'd be awesome. One of the things the Yankees, once again, they continue to struggle with this. And I don't think they're going to struggle with it as much in 27 or in 26 because they have Bednar. If he's hopefully he'll be healthy and effective. If Bednar's healthy and effective, they won't struggle with this as they have in the past few years. The 9th inning's been it's been a hellscape for them. Right? 2023, the 9th inning was a hellscape. Holmes was horrible. 24, he was so bad he lost his job. This year, they try and fix it and trade for Williams. He in the 9th inning was horrific. In the 8th inning, he was like Mariano, but in the 9th inning, he was horrible. He was just as bad, if not worse, than Holmes. I mean, if you look at the past 2 opening day victories, the 9th inning was a mess on both of them. 24 was in Houston, and that was Soto throwing out. It might have been Tucker at the plate. I believe it was either Tucker or Bregman, one of the two. He was nailing him at the plate. Oh wait, no, it was Tucker had the hit off Holmes and Altuve. They nailed at the plate. I think it was. I could go back and check, but I don't care enough. And that's how they won opening day. This year, they won opening day because he somehow struck out Christian Yelich, who I was convinced was going to hit a 3-run home run. I mean, Williams was horrible. So the problem is the 9th inning still. That was a problem last year, to the point where they had to go out the deadline and get 4 people who could pitch the 9th inning. 2 people who could pitch the 9th, Duvall and Bednar. Bednar's been sensational. And I really like him, and he has guts here in New York. Bednar, I really, really like a lot. He's been very, very good for them, and he's someone who now you go into an off season. I think I said this a couple episodes ago, but I'll say it again. You're going into an off season knowing you have someone who could pitch the 9th inning for the first time in how long? Like, they said Holmes could pitch the 9th inning. We all know he couldn't. We went in last year saying, will it be Weaver? And, thank God because he got hurt. We didn't have him pitch the ninth because that would have been a disaster. And then they got Williams, and Williams couldn't pitch the ninth. And, Chapman was horrible in 22. 23, Holmes was horrible. I mean, it's been 4 years since they've had, like, a competent closer. And now you have Bednar, who's really good. He blew 1 save. I think 2 official saves, but, like, he blew 1 game, and they won it. Like, he blew the Tampa game in the ninth inning, which there was an element of bad luck to, and then they ended up winning in the 10th inning anyway, even though Williams, like, desperately tried to blow that one. And he somehow got out of it. I don't know. I still don't know how he won that game. That doesn't matter. They won it. That's what matters. The fact that they won it is what matters. But that was the one game Bednar blew. I mean, he did give up the insurance run to Boston in game 1 of the wild card, but who really cares? I mean, they won the series. And that was the only run he gave up in the postseason. So that's a microcosm. Bednar was really good for the Yankees. And now what you're doing is you're going into the offseason saying, okay, we have someone under contract who could pitch the ninth inning. Someone who, if in the first half of the season is really good, we need to lock up. Because very few people can pitch the ninth inning in New York. And if Bednar proves he can do it and do it at a high level and do it when the stakes are the highest, which he kind of did. I mean, he closed out really big games in the postseason. He closed out really big games down the stretch. I mean, the Toronto game, he closed out, what was that, Sunday afternoon? That Sunday afternoon Toronto game he closed out where Wells threw the runaround at second base. I think that was Sunday, and they won the series. Yeah, great. Like, he proved like he can close out the biggest of big games. He was really good for them. So now what that would do is if you don't sign Edwin Diaz this offseason or Robert Suarez, who I'll pull him up as well. He's also been linked. The Yankees are going to get one of these guys, like one of these high level relievers who have experience closing. Diaz has experience closing in New York, so that would be great. Diaz obviously is going to command probably more money than Robert Suarez. I always get Robert and Ranger confused. Ranger Suarez is a starting pitcher for the Phillies. Ranger Suarez is a reliever for the Padres. They are both free agents. And that's been super confusing. And I promise that when this story breaks of either one of them signing, whoever goes first, someone's screwing up the name. I promise. I hope it's not me. But God forbid these two be like talking to the same teams. that'd be hell. That'd be hell. I could totally see like Heyman screwing that up or Rosenthal. I like Ken Rosenthal, but yeah, Scherzer's going to the Padres. That's a joke for those who remember. I forget what offseason that was. He falsely reported that Max Scherzer was signing with the Padres, and he wasn't. I think that was the offseason he went to the Mets, but don't quote me on that one. Kind of like Arson Judge appears headed to Giants. That one's still in my nightmares somewhere. But the off season's getting started. No deals are going down yet. We're gonna talk during the week, probably Wednesday, during the GM meetings. That'll be the next time I do a stream, unless Grisham picks up the qualifying offer, then we'll come on here. Or they do sign someone, which I don't think they will. But that's it for now. Have a great day. Go Yankees, and yeah, we'll talk during the week when they're at the GM meetings. Take care.